What if I told you that right now as you watch this, humans have begun merging their minds with machines? Not in some distant future, not in a sci-fi film, but here, now, today. A revolution is happening inside human skulls that could redefine what it means to be human. The question isn't if we'll merge with technology, but whether we're ready for what comes next. This is Noland Arbaugh, and what you're witnessing isn't camera tricks or special effects. He's controlling this computer using nothing but his thoughts. In 2016, a swimming accident left Noland paralyzed from the shoulders down. For years he relied on others for nearly everything: eating, bathing, even the simple act of sending a text message. But in January 2024, Noland became the first human to receive a revolutionary brain implant from a company called Neuralink. A coin-sized device, nestled against his brain, now translates his neural activity into digital commands. This technology represents a fundamental shift in how humans interact with machines. For people with severe disabilities, it offers independence that was previously impossible. But the implications stretch far beyond medical applications. What happens when the barrier between human minds and machines dissolves? When thoughts can directly control technology? When our brains can connect to artificial intelligence? This isn't just about technology, it's about redefining what it means to be human. But to understand how we arrived at this moment and where we might be heading, we need to journey into the most complex object in the known universe, the human brain. In this video, you'll witness the birth of a technology that could fundamentally transform humanity. But there's something they're not telling you about what happens when we connect our brains to computers. The human brain contains approximately 86 billion neurons, forming a vast network of electrical connections. Every thought, every movement, every sensation, all emerge from patterns of electrical activity flowing through this intricate web. For centuries, the brain remained largely mysterious, a black box we couldn't peer inside. But in the 1920s, a German psychiatrist named Hans Berger made a breakthrough. He recorded the first human electroencephalogram, or EEG, capturing the brain's electrical activity from outside the skull. This was the first primitive brain-computer interface, a way to translate neural activity into information a machine could record. But the signal was weak, imprecise, like trying to understand a conversation by pressing your ear against a wall. For decades, scientists dreamed of a more direct connection electrodes that could record from individual neurons, capturing the brain's signals with perfect clarity. In the 1970s, researchers began implanting electrodes in the brains of monkeys, allowing them to control simple devices with their thoughts. The field needed a revolution. And in 2016, that revolution began when Elon Musk, already known for transforming the electric vehicle industry with Tesla and revolutionizing space travel with SpaceX, set his sights on the brain. Musk founded Neuralink with a team of leading neuroscientists and engineers including Max Hodak, Benjamin Rappaport, Dongjin Seo, Paul Merola, Philip Sabes, Tim Gardner, Tim Hansen, and Vanessa Tolosa. The company's name itself has an interesting origin. It was purchased from neuroscientists Pedram Mohseni and Randolph Nudo, who had been developing a device to treat traumatic brain injury but struggled to secure funding. In Silicon Valley, even company names are acquired assets. Musk's vision was ambitious: to create a high-bandwidth bidirectional connection between the human brain and computers. Not just reading neural activity, but potentially writing information back into the brain. But the reality was far more complex. Creating this technology required solving multiple engineering challenges simultaneously. First, the electrodes. Traditional electrodes were too large and rigid, damaging brain tissue over time. Neuralink developed ultra-thin, flexible threads, each thinner than a human hair, that could be inserted precisely into the brain with minimal damage. Each thread contains multiple electrodes capable of detecting the tiny electrical signals from individual neurons. A single N1 implant contains thousands of electrodes, allowing it to monitor far more brain activity than previous technologies. But placing these delicate threads precisely in the brain presented another challenge. Human surgeons, even with the steadiest hands, couldn't achieve the necessary precision. So Neuralink developed a specialized surgical robot. Using computer vision and precise robotics, it can insert the threads exactly where they need to go, avoiding blood vessels to minimize damage. The threads connect to a sealed implant containing custom-designed chips that process the neural signals. This implant sits flush with the skull, invisible beneath the hair, and communicates wirelessly with external devices. But hardware was only half the challenge. Neuralink also needed to develop sophisticated algorithms to interpret the complex patterns of neural activity and translate them into digital commands. But as Neuralink was developing this revolutionary technology behind closed doors, serious questions were emerging. How would the human brain respond to this foreign object? Would the benefits outweigh the risks? And perhaps most importantly, who would be the first human to cross this threshold? By 2019, Neuralink had developed a working prototype and demonstrated it in pigs. By 2021, they showed a monkey named Pager playing the video game Pong using only his thoughts. But creating technology that interfaces directly with the brain isn't just an engineering challenge, it's a deeply human story. And for one man, it would change everything. Noland Arbaugh grew up in Yuma, Arizona, a dusty military town in the Sonoran Desert. As a young man, he was active and athletic, playing football, basketball, rugby, and golf. He enjoyed hunting and shooting with his family, played bass in a rock band, and performed in high school theater productions. In June 2016, Noland was 22 years old and working at a kids' summer camp in upstate New York. One hot afternoon, he and some friends went swimming in a lake. The impact had dislocated Noland's neck around the fourth and fifth vertebrae. Though the vertebrae went back into place immediately, his spinal cord was severely damaged. When Noland woke up in the hospital, he was paralyzed from the shoulders down, quadriplegic. He could move his head and shoulders, but nothing below. Noland moved back to his family home in Yuma, where his mother, Mia, stepfather, and half-brother could care for him. His life now required constant assistance. One of the most frustrating aspects was the loss of privacy and independence in communication. Noland could use an iPad with a mouth stick, a rod with conductive fabric that he held in his mouth to tap the screen. But it was slow, cumbersome, and required someone to position the device for him. Meanwhile, across the country, a secretive company was developing technology that would soon intersect with Noland's life in ways no one could have predicted. But would this experimental technology offer genuine hope, or just another disappointment in a long line of medical promises? For nearly 8 years, this was Noland's reality. Then, in late 2023, he heard about Neuralink's search for their first human participant. After receiving FDA approval for human trials in May 2023, Neuralink was looking for someone with quadriplegia to receive the first implant. The ideal candidate would be someone with a cervical spinal cord injury who had full cognitive function but limited physical mobility. The decision wasn't simple. Brain surgery carries significant risks: infection, hemorrhage, even brain damage. And as the first human recipient, there were many unknowns. Only 4 months after first hearing about Neuralink, Noland was on an operating table. The surgical robot precisely inserted 64 threads, each containing multiple electrodes, into his motor cortex, the part of the brain that controls movement. The procedure took about an hour. When Noland woke up, there was no immediate change. The implant needed time to heal and calibrate. Then came the moment of truth. Several weeks after surgery, the Neuralink team activated the device. For the first time in nearly 8 years, Noland was directly controlling something in his environment, without assistance, using only his thoughts. Over the following weeks, Noland's proficiency grew rapidly. The machine learning algorithms adapted to his neural patterns, and he learned how to generate the mental commands more effectively. Soon, Noland was able to do things that had been impossible for years: play video games, browse the internet, send private messages, and even create digital art. Perhaps most importantly, Noland regained a sense of privacy and independence. The technology isn't perfect. The current system only allows Noland to control a computer cursor. He still can't move his limbs or feel sensations below his shoulders, but even this limited functionality has transformed his daily life. Noland's success story represents a breakthrough moment for Neuralink. But behind this public triumph lies a more complex reality: years of controversial animal testing, technical failures, and ethical questions that continue to haunt the company. What price was paid to reach this milestone? And who decides if it was worth it? Creating a brain-computer interface as advanced as Neuralink's required overcoming numerous technical hurdles, challenges that pushed the boundaries of multiple scientific disciplines simultaneously. First, there's the challenge of miniaturization. The components need to be small enough to fit within the skull without displacing brain tissue, yet powerful enough to process complex neural data. Then there's biocompatibility. ensuring the materials won't trigger immune responses or inflammation when implanted in the brain. Another major challenge is the surgical procedure itself. The threads must be inserted with microscopic precision, avoiding blood vessels and minimizing tissue damage. Perhaps the most complex challenge is interpreting the brain's signals. Neural activity is incredibly noisy and variable, making it difficult to extract clear commands. And finally, there's the challenge of longevity. Brain implants need to function reliably for years without degradation. While engineers were celebrating their technical achievements behind laboratory doors, a storm of controversy was brewing outside. Had Neuralink crossed ethical lines in its race to create this technology? And were vulnerable animals paying the price for human advancement? Beyond these technical challenges, Neuralink has faced significant ethical controversies, particularly regarding its animal testing practices. Since 2017, Neuralink has conducted experiments on various animals, including monkeys, pigs, sheep, and rats. These tests were necessary to develop the technology and ensure its safety before human trials. However, documents obtained through public records requests revealed troubling details about these experiments, particularly those conducted at the University of California, Davis, where Neuralink paid $1.4 million to use their facilities. According to veterinary records, several monkeys experienced serious complications from the implants, including infections and neurological issues. Some had to be euthanized. In 2022, the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine filed a complaint with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, alleging animal welfare violations. Neuralink has defended its animal testing practices, stating that they follow all regulatory requirements and ethical guidelines. The company points out that such testing is currently necessary for developing medical devices. The controversy intensified when Reuters reported in 2022 that Neuralink was under federal investigation for potential animal welfare violations. Beyond animal testing, Neuralink has faced regulatory challenges in bringing its technology to humans. The FDA initially rejected Neuralink's application for human trials in early 2023, citing safety concerns. These concerns reportedly included questions about the battery safety, the possibility of threads migrating in the brain, and the challenges of removing the device if necessary. After addressing these concerns, Neuralink received FDA approval for human trials in May 2023, and the first implant was performed in January 2024. The regulatory landscape for neural interfaces remains complex and evolving. As the technology advances, new questions emerge about appropriate oversight, but these controversies and technical challenges pale in comparison to the true stakes at play. Despite the setbacks, Neuralink pushed forward, driven by a vision far more ambitious than helping those with disabilities. According to Elon Musk, this technology is about nothing less than the future of humanity itself, and our relationship with artificial intelligence. The question isn't whether humans will merge with machines, but whether we're prepared for what that means. And the clock is ticking. While Neuralink's initial focus has been on medical applications, helping people with paralysis, blindness, and other neurological conditions, Elon Musk has always been clear that his vision extends much further. To understand Musk's motivation, we need to understand his concerns about artificial intelligence. For years, he has warned about the potential dangers of advanced AI. Musk believes that as AI becomes more sophisticated, humans risk being left behind, outthought and outperformed by digital superintelligence. Musk's proposed solution is not to limit AI development, but to enhance humans, to create a high-bandwidth interface between our brains and computers that would allow us to keep pace with AI. But just how ambitious is Musk's vision? The numbers are staggering, and the timeline shockingly short. What would it mean for humanity if his predictions come true? And what happens to those left behind? This vision goes far beyond the current capabilities of Neuralink's N1 implant. It would require dramatic advances in both the hardware and our understanding of the brain. But Musk is known for his ambitious timelines. In December 2024, he made a bold prediction about Neuralink's future. Bitrate and patient number will increase hyper-exponentially over the next 5+ years. My guess is combined I/O bitrate greater than 1 megabit per second, and augmented humans greater than 1 million by 2030. To put this in perspective, the current Neuralink system operates at a fraction of this speed, and instead of one patient, Musk envisions 1 million people with neural implants by the end of this decade. Cost is indeed a critical factor. The current Neuralink procedure is expensive, though Musk has stated his goal is to make it affordable. an Apple Watch for your brain, the ultimate wearable technology. Musk has also emphasized the simplicity and speed of the procedure in his vision of the future. Beyond the technical and economic challenges, Musk envisions applications that go far beyond restoring lost functions. He has described a future where neural interfaces could enhance human capabilities in unprecedented ways. He's also described the possibility of consensual telepathy, the ability to transmit thoughts directly from one brain to another. These ideas may sound like science fiction, but they're based on real neuroscience principles. Our thoughts, memories, and perceptions are encoded in patterns of neural activity. In theory, with sufficient technology, these patterns could be read, stored, and even transmitted. Perhaps most ambitious is Musk's vision of human-AI symbiosis, a direct high-bandwidth connection between the human brain and artificial general intelligence. This symbiosis, Musk argues, would allow humans to benefit from AI's computational power while maintaining human agency and creativity. Musk also sees Neuralink as part of a larger ecosystem of his companies. He's suggested potential integrations with Tesla's autonomous vehicles, SpaceX's Starlink satellite network, and even future Mars colonization efforts. For example, a neural interface could allow direct control of Tesla vehicles with thought, or provide a high-bandwidth connection to the internet via Starlink satellites. Imagine never having to say, "Hey Siri" again, just think your question and get the answer directly in your mind. Though you might miss the chance to complain about voice assistants misunderstanding you. While many experts are skeptical about Musk's ambitious timeline, few doubt the transformative potential of advanced neural interface technology. This vision of enhanced humanity raises profound questions about who we are and who we might become. As the technology advances, society faces a crossroads with implications that extend far beyond technology into the realm of philosophy, ethics, and what it means to be human. Are we prepared to face these questions? And who gets to decide the answers? As brain-computer interface technology advances from medical treatment toward human enhancement, we enter uncharted ethical territory. The questions we face go beyond technical challenges to the very core of what it means to be human. One of the most immediate concerns is the potential for a new form of inequality, a neural divide between those with access to enhancement technologies and those without. If neural interfaces significantly enhance human capabilities, who will have access to them? Will they be available only to those who can afford them? Could this create a two-tiered society? Beyond questions of access, there are profound concerns about privacy and security. Neural data is perhaps the most intimate information possible, literally the contents of our minds. Who would own this data? How would it be protected? Could it be hacked, manipulated, or used for surveillance? As we blur the line between human and machine, we confront an even more fundamental question. What does it mean to be human in an age of neural enhancement? If our thoughts, memories, and perceptions can be digitized, stored, and manipulated, what becomes of our authentic selves? Where does the human end and the technology begin? These concerns extend to questions of autonomy and identity. If our brains are directly connected to external systems, where does the self end and technology begin? Could neural interfaces influence our decision-making or alter our sense of self? Would enhanced humans still be fundamentally human in the same way? Religious and cultural perspectives on these questions, well, they vary widely. Some see enhancement technologies as interfering with divine creation or natural order, while others view them as tools for human flourishing. Beyond religious perspectives, there are broader cultural questions about how neural interfaces might change human relationships and society. Of course, some might argue that being able to directly share thoughts could finally solve the age-old problem of miscommunication between couples. I told you to pick up milk. No, you thought about telling me but never actually said it. There are also questions about consent and coercion. If neural interfaces become widespread, would people feel pressured to adopt them to remain competitive in education or the workplace? Some ethicists and legal scholars have begun advocating for neural rights, a new category of human rights specifically protecting the privacy and integrity of the brain. The development of neural interface technology is outpacing our ethical and regulatory frameworks. Decisions made today could shape the trajectory of human evolution for generations to come. As we stand at this technological threshold, one question remains: what future are we creating, and is it one we truly want? The path we choose now will shape not just our technology, but potentially the very nature of human experience for generations to come. And the window to make these choices is rapidly closing. We stand at the beginning of what may be the most significant technological revolution in human history, the direct connection of our brains to the digital world. The path forward is neither predetermined nor simple. In the near term, Neuralink and similar companies are focused on medical applications. Neuralink's Blind Sight project, announced in September 2024, aims to restore vision to people with certain forms of blindness by directly stimulating their visual cortex. Other companies and research institutions are pursuing different approaches to brain-computer interfaces. Not all require invasive surgery. Companies like Kernel and CTRL Labs are developing non-invasive interfaces that can detect neural signals from outside the skull. While these currently offer lower resolution than implanted electrodes, they avoid the risks of surgery. As we contemplate these technologies, we face a profound choice about our collective future. Will we use neural interfaces to heal and restore, to enhance and transcend, or might we create new forms of control and inequality? The technology itself is neutral. It's how we choose to develop and deploy it that will determine its impact on humanity, and that choice belongs to all of us. Beyond the technology itself, there are competing visions for how neural interfaces should be developed and regulated. Some advocate for a primarily medical model, where neural interfaces are developed as treatments for specific conditions and subject to strict medical device regulations. Others, including Elon Musk, envision a consumer technology model, where neural interfaces eventually become mainstream products available to anyone who wants them, similar to smartphones today. And some researchers propose a public utility model, where the core infrastructure for neural interfaces is developed as a public good, with open standards and strong privacy protections. As we consider these possible futures, it's worth returning to Noland Arbaugh, whose life has been transformed by the current generation of this technology. 1 year after receiving his Neuralink implant, Noland continues to explore its capabilities and limitations. But he's also clear-eyed about the current limitations. Noland's perspective on the future of neural interfaces is shaped by his unique experience. As for the broader questions about human enhancement and the merging of minds with machines, Noland offers a grounded perspective. The story of neural interfaces is still being written. The technology will continue to evolve, shaped by scientific discovery, engineering innovation, ethical choices, and human needs. The questions raised by this technology are not merely technical but deeply human. They touch on our values, our fears, our hopes, and our understanding of ourselves. What kind of future do we want to create? How do we ensure that neural interfaces enhance human flourishing rather than diminishing it? How do we distribute the benefits and risks fairly? These are not questions that technologists alone can answer. They require broad social conversation, inclusive decision-making, and careful consideration of diverse perspectives. As we stand at the threshold of this new frontier, we have an opportunity and a responsibility to shape it wisely, to harness the potential of neural interfaces while preserving what makes us human. The mind-machine merger has begun. Where it leads is up to us. Perhaps the most profound question isn't whether we can merge our minds with machines, but whether in doing so, we'll discover something deeper about what it truly means to be human. In our quest to transcend our biological limitations, we may ultimately find that our humanity lies not in the physical substrate of our thoughts, but in the values, connections, and choices that define us. As Neuralink and similar technologies advance, they offer us not just new capabilities, but a mirror in which to see ourselves more clearly. The future of the human mind is being written now, and all of us have a role in determining what that story will be. What do you think? Would you connect your brain to a computer if you could? What boundaries should we set? What future do you want to see? Join the conversation in the comments below. If you found this exploration valuable, please like this video and share it with others who should be part of this important discussion. Subscribe for more deep dives into the technologies shaping our future, because the choices we make today will shape what it means to be human tomorrow.